be, and as live video would have it, my phone is doing funny things. So I'm going to be trying to attempt to add Domenic to the chat because we're talking about PropTech. So whoever was listening before, come back. Hi Marie. Hi Tony. See what happens when you're not here? Everything goes haywire. Corn, sweetie, I hope you're putting the beds together. Adam, how are you doing? And waiting for a good old Dom again. And I'm gonna try and flip my phone to side to see if it does the flippy thing like it's meant to. You can't rotate your phone while recording. That's a bit unfortunate. Ooh, there you are, Dom. And I can't add you. Why is that? For your viewers. You're here. I know you're here. I'm trying to add you here. And we had this problem last week, didn't we, Tony? Had this problem with Rob as well. And my phone, for some reason, has decided maybe I can lip sync live you, Dom. Maybe not. But you've disappeared. But I am going so well right now. Well, you can type in things while I have a bit of a chat to anyone that's on the live today. Unfortunately, both phones need to be the same orientation. So Dom, orientate this way for the time being, not this way. And let's see if that makes a difference. Tony's shaking his head going, what have I left these two to do? Oh, I think you're here now. Yes, there we are. Adding. Domenic wants to be in your video. I'm approving. And I think we're on a roll. So who here knows about PropTech? Put your hands up in the air. Or can tell me, you need me, don't you? Yes, I do. We did it.
Yay!
Woohoo! Technology, gotta love it.
Far out.
Oh my goodness, we got there. I
love that we're talking about PropTech as well.
Yes, exactly. It does so well. I hope the PropTech that you're dealing with works a lot better than what we're dealing with right now. I don't build any of it,
that's why it works.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm totally technologically inept. So, all good. Welcome, Dom.
Happy to be here.
The stage. This is your first Facebook Live, you say?
It is.
Which is, I can't believe it because you're on every other form of social media and podcasting and video, but no, Facebook Live, first one.
I've even tried TikTok.
You've even tried TikTok. I had no idea what TikTok was until Tony showed me what it was, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. So, serious business. What is PropTech? Tell us. We know there's a lot of talk, particularly, we're on the Property Development Australia page, so everyone's keen to understand how technology can be used to improve the way we're doing things. Is PropTech the same as FinTech, or has it been derived from FinTech? Tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you could think about PropTech or RealTech or whatever definition people want to give it. There's building technology, so people are creating different technologies in the building industry. So that could be, 3D printing homes. That's one way that people can try and pull into PropTech. Another type of PropTech might even be financing schemes to a looser extent in property. So people are trying to peg themselves to property, the industry, and the different ways that they can benefit the industry through technology, whether it's the physical building, the financing of those buildings, the selling, the marketing of the building. So for instance, VR, augmented reality, these are all different types of property technology. Yeah, does that kind of give you a broader...
Yeah.
or is it specific?
Yeah. And is it specific enough?
The
Well, I
ways
guess
that it's being
one.
used is very, very broad. It's like I said, to build, to sell, to finance, to reach audiences. I feel like property technology really is in its infancy compared to, say, fintech and some of the other more established, med tech or whatever, different tech plays.
Yeah.
Where my business operates is in the sales and marketing of properties, and that's kind of what my DNA is. So it
Yeah.
made a lot of sense for me to try and automate the processes that I thought I did well, or our teams did well, and look at the areas of interest that really made the sales and marketing of property really difficult. How could I make it simpler? So it was
Okay.
kind of a
So
self-serving technology.
I got that. So just on that point, if you can give our listeners an idea of what your history is in the property space and how it has evolved to lead you to where you are with PropTech.
Okay, without boring everybody to death, I started off in just traditional real estate as a sales agent. I did a degree in business and was doing financial planning for a long time. During the GFC, I spun out of the financial planning business and used my license as a real estate agent to travel across Australia, research different markets, and find areas of interest where we could find growth to benefit the audience or benefit the clients of a financial planning practice. From there, I would build portfolios, private clients, and obviously work to build my own portfolio. I spun out of that business entirely, moved to New York for a year, did a bit of traveling around Europe and kind of just gallivanted about. After that, I moved into property development and worked at a smaller development company at that point in time called Third Eye. And
I know them.
yeah, you know Third Eye, you know Announcer, you know all the gang, so you've known me for years and years.
Yeah, since we were 15. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked at Third Eye Group, and some of the sites I was working at that point in time were sort of $40 million development sites. I'm actually in the building that I first sold. And we grew that business with their leadership and a fantastic team around us to selling $100+ million development sites, mixed use, house and land subdivisions.
Yeah.
And, you know, Luke and I very much led that team to do a whole bunch of innovative ways that we could sell the different developments. We tried building augmented reality tools. We tried different innovative ways, like, you know, doing lifts inside buildings and whatever marketing technique we could come up with to try and push the envelope. The guys in the organization would sort of fund it and allow us to explore the boundaries of property. So how could we innovate in that space? I left that company about 2 years ago, went back into project marketing, and just identified that the way that property has been sold in new and off the plan sales has very much been the same. The only real innovation we've had in the past sort of 5 years, and that significantly impacted the game, has been using social media. You know, advertising on Facebook and Instagram. That's been the biggest innovation that I've actually seen, aside from augmented and virtual reality, but that hasn't been as impactful as people had hoped. That was a really long-winded way of giving my spin on where I've been and what I've done.
Yeah, okay. All right, I think we're done now. No, I think that, like I said, but it gives people an idea, because it's always about identifying a problem and providing a solution, right? Any sort of new product or service, its core stems from that, and because you've been through basically, you know, I'd say almost the trenches, the whole life cycle of the property sales and marketing process. That's the reason why you've been able to identify where there is a gap and where things can be improved. Correct. So, how have you? What have you identified then to be able to create Cribz, and what does Cribz do?
Well, our grand vision for Cribz is making the sale of buying and selling a property easier. It's a really broad vision, but the way that we've approached it in the first instance is we know that it comes down to the individual purchaser. So this is going to sound really like commonsensical almost. But when you're selling your apartment or you're selling your block of land or you're selling your property, you're selling it to a person. So we wanted to identify who is this person, what matters to them, and intimately understand what needs we can identify. So how could we, hey Joe, Joe Katani, shout out to Dilkara. So we worked on technology to help us identify who the end consumer was. So when I ran a development site with the gang, we'd do a marketing campaign, we'd receive thousands of leads, and all we'd get is a name, number, and email address.
Yeah.
And effectively, it was up to the sales team to just call all these people and figure out who they are. Now our technology enables us to instantly find out who this person is by the breadcrumbs they leave all over the internet. So if you've got a Facebook, a LinkedIn presence, if you've got a number of different media examples of yourself, if you're on a number of registers, we can now find out from the 1,000 people where you work, where you live. You know, we can kind of deduce income parameters. We know your skill sets, what your behaviors are, what you're interested in. And it just means that you can start segmenting the different lists within your database to be more targeted in how you, one, develop your property, but then also how you sell it and market it. So how can we be more effective with the leads that are coming into your business?
Sure. I mean, and this is sort of, it's marketing 101, right? Identifying who your target market or your avatar is. And that comes down to, I mean, we've done all this, you know, the demographics, what they do, what they read, and everything else. Is that the sort of information that you can now derive from just, like, how much information do you need to be able to begin with to then gather all this other information?
Well, it's super powerful because once you understand, it's not about going broad, it's about going wide, it's about going deep. If you know who your specific demographic is, you can be very, very pointed and be very, very effective with your marketing, and you can be very, very effective with the sales campaign as well. So why we're able to succeed and why we're able to turn over sites at Third Eye is we spent a lot of time understanding what type of development we're going to do before we started constructing it, and understanding who the demographic was, how we're going to go about reaching that audience. So where are they active? What social platforms? What geographic area they're going to come from? Are they downsizing? Are they upgrading? Are they an investor? And once we understood that, once you understood that intimately, it meant that you could better service that audience. So for instance, if you know that you're going to have a downsizer market, you're probably not going to have 3 flights of stairs as part of your construction or your design. And then the way that you market your product is going to be entirely different as well. And that even tells you how you're going to train your staff and how they're going to, you know, relay your message down your phone.
And so my question is it's a bit of a chicken and egg one. From using the data that you have, and I guess it's, you know, do you come up with sort of a generic campaign to begin with to get the leads in and then analyze them, or are you starting from a base of, I have a sort of a brief idea of who my demographic is, and then market it out and then fine tune it? Is it sort of almost like a stage process?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about, the size of the development, how we're going after it. So for instance, if you've already bought a site, it could be as simple, and you know that you've got a little bit of time, it could be as simple as putting up some hoarding, you know, a bit of branding, very, very simple, put a phone number and just taking inquiry and having a place for people to land, enriching that data and finding out who's actually inquiring on the site. If you're planning on doing a development in a particular location, you can find out who is going to be in that area by having a look at a lot of the demographic data, jumping in ABS, talking to the real estate agents and getting a sense of the place. But it's also just kind of like split testing. So doing a small sample of advertising, see what comes back, testing that data, finding out who's in there, and then working on the bits that work well. So like your A and B split testing.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Because that was one of the things because often people might not really understand. Hi, David, how are you doing? I'm going to just say hello to a few people here. Jin, how are you doing? Joe, welcome. Joe says 5 steps ahead of the competition, of course, as always. And David. So the real thing, what we're trying to do here is derive all this big data to be able to analyze it and then fine tune the messaging that's going out to your target market. And I know it sounds silly, but why is that so important? Why can't we just sort of put out sort of generic sort of messaging, hoping that it'll stick with anyone? Why is it so important to have that messaging really sort of fine-tuned to a particular target?
Because you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to be able to increase the price that you can sell your properties for. It's going to be a more seamless process. I feel like sales, and obviously I'm going to say this because it's my background, but I feel like the sales and marketing really does drive a lot of these developments. Of course, if you don't construct well, you're screwed. If you're not hey, plumbing, if you're not able to, get your DA in place, it's not going to work very well, as Plummy will attest, and so will Joe. But if you can't sell the project, if you can't get revenue into your door, then you're not going to be able to develop. If you've got a steady stream of sales, then you can turn your projects over a lot faster. It means you get your finance a lot quicker, you get your money into your pocket a lot quicker, and it means that you can just keep on developing, which you know that very, very well. So by understanding what the strategy is, who you're going to sell to, how you're going to go about it, you can be way more pinpoint. So it's more like a sniper rifle, way more effective than just a scatter gun hoping for the best. So back in the heyday, 2014-15, you would work with a larger agency. They would assign 1% of your GRV to sales and marketing. You'd blow it all in the first 60 to 90 days, and then you'd have a few days of sitting there. And the numbers are about 2 to 3% maybe will actually convert. That means that 97% of your marketing budget was largely ineffectual, and you've run out of marketing, now you're screwed. Yeah. So you can't turn over, and then you're looking to either discount your product, offer higher commissions, and you're left with using decisions or tactics that are not very credible. They're reducing your profitability, and it's kind of so if you can nail down that marketing and effective spending, it means you can faster, be more developed. So it's kind of the exit strategy. It's one of a shorter way of saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So exit strategy is always sort of the end goal for any build to sell type development, isn't it? And so going on, what are some good examples that you can give us, having used Cribz and big data and all that to improve outcomes for developers? Do you have some sort of case studies or real life examples that have happened for your clients or any of your projects that you've done yourself, to be able to say, we went at the traditional sort of to everyone generic marketing.
Yeah, I think
and then we implemented.
You don't need that technology. Yeah, you don't need advanced technology. What it really does come down to is just time and attention to the aggregated database. So the amount of people that you've already got servicing your audience. So if you've already accumulated a database of people, first collect the data. If you're going to pay for an agent to go and put a whole bunch of ads up, make sure that you're collecting that database. Second, make sure that it's in a space that your agents and the people communicating with that database can log the information, maybe some kind of simple tagging system. First home buyer, over 55, under 25. So be able to log that information very simply, and then just stay in communication with that database so that you can develop a reputation, rapport, and stay relevant to these people. Now, if you're periodically talking to these people, you know who they are, then you're in a better position to service their needs, and just make sure that your sales team, if you've got your own sales team, are communicating with them frequently enough that you can service them. The reason why I say all of this is because the typical sales cycle is anywhere between 3 months, 6 months, and it's Domain put out an article recently where it's extending out to 12 months. So people that have inquired 6 or 12 months ago are still relevant leads. They may have been shopping at that point in time and they're waiting for the market to come back, or they're waiting for the election, or they're waiting for interest rates to come over, or they're waiting to save a deposit, or they're waiting to get a promotion or get married. There's all these life events that happen and you've already paid for this lead. So staying in contact and then getting your sales team to stay in contact and to tap into them again, you're going to pick up additional sales and make use of your data.
Yeah. And data's just it sets everyone. We've got our DA approved today, so we wouldn't mind testing your Cribz I can't say the word algorithm. Well done, Joe. Where's the site? Do you know where Joe's site is, Dom?
Joe's developing everywhere.
Excellent. So the big question is, we can get all this big data, we can get all this information about people, and I know you've probably been asked this numerous times. Privacy. How are we still? I mean, all the information that's able to be gathered is public. Neutral Bay, nice one.
I'm working inside Neutral Bay. I can help you there.
Awesome.
Sorry. Yeah. So the data. So to answer that question, we only capture data that's publicly available, and you'd be surprised how much people are willing to share. So if you haven't shared any information, we're not going to find you. And if you've given us a fake email address, we're not going to find you. But if you're on Instagram, Spotify, if you're using social media, if you've logged registers, you've registered businesses, then we're going to find a lot.
Yeah, okay.
But ultimately, it comes down to how that data is used. So if it's your database, you've legally acquired it, people have opted in to hear from you, then all we're doing is very quickly and efficiently aggregating all that information all over the net, putting it into a format that is easy to digest, and then use it efficiently to go and do campaigns, contact them, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, okay. So people don't, as long as they've realized that they've got information that's publicly out there, that's sort of the information. It's not like you're diving into deep, dark secrets of, vaults of information. Yeah. So all those
guys, Tyrone Hyde runs Washington Brown, is loving life over in Southeast Asia. I won't tell you specific location. I'll put him into Cribz later.
Cool. Whilst we're having a chat, please, if you've got questions for Dom about sort of PropTech in general or Cribz, please feel free to ask questions. What I wanted to talk about was also your experience in terms of the VC journey, because we've got a few people here in the groups that are probably looking at formulating their own sort of PropTech, coming up with their own sort of IP type product. What are your pieces of advice to them as to how they can get things, MVPs and VC money into whatever it is they're doing?
Well, first and foremost, it's really difficult to get venture capital funding in Australia. It's kind of a smaller, tight-knit community, and I don't think it's VC in the traditional context, meaning big companies with large amounts of money that just deploy nice and fast and efficiently. They're looking for more mature companies in Australia. But if you are going to chase VC money, you kind of need to have your MVP or your minimum viable product. You need to have some runs on the board, ideally. So that means some paying clients or a captive audience of people. Yeah, Luke, you're right. There's no cash in Australia. That's why we to go and look externally, to go and put yourself out there. So we were kind of lucky, I guess, a little bit of good luck and hard work. Peter put us up for a number of different programs and accelerators, and Pi Labs, not the Australian one, but the one in the UK, put us through the burner, kind of asked 1,000,001 questions and a whole heap of different interviews. And eventually we had to move over to London, and then they gave us some funding so we could continue developing our tech. So the short answer is it's really difficult. You're going to have to do a lot, and it's not, the United States where they kind of fund, your napkin idea.
So it's not Shark Tank as it seems to be on TV, where they're going, oh, fantastic idea, here, take it.
No, you need to have a product. You need to be working. It needs to be legitimate. They want to see that you've got a huge market size. They want to see that you can become a billion-dollar business. And if the size of the market you're going for isn't large enough, you're not going to get VC funding. They're kind of not looking for businesses. They're looking for unicorns, things that can scale very, very quickly and just run into the stratosphere. That's typically what VCs go for. They go for this thing called a fund earner. So if the size of their fund is $50 million or pounds, then they're looking to invest their money into different companies that can scale to a valuation of 50 mil very, very quickly. But then they want to have that one shot out of 10 that's going to become worth a bill.
Yeah, yeah. So is the idea for VCs then that that their money can scale, 3-5 times and triple, quadruple within a really short period? Is that what they're looking for?
In VC land, they want to see that you're burning through your cash. You're reinvesting all the money that you're receiving back in. So you're not really a profitable business. And they want to see that you can scale 100x very, very quickly. That's not to say that you're going to, but they want to see that the business has the capability to. And they'd rather see that you burn through your money faster or sooner rather than later. It's not a slow burn business. They're after something that's just going to go rocket off into the stratosphere.
Yeah, right. So tell us, you've probably met a few other PropTech businesses. What are the ones that we should be, in the property investment and development world, be aware of, your other peers?
This is going to sound really shitty, but I kind of don't pay attention to I pay way more attention to people like Joe and developers and what sites are being bought, what's happening to the property market, where investments in infrastructure. And I really focus in on the property stuff more so than the tech.
Yes. Yes.
What emerging technologies do I see that are interesting? Nothing crazy. I'll be fair. There are some interesting guys that I know that I've worked with. There's which are pretty interesting. Company, they're putting up effectively meditation rooms in metropolitan areas, and they lease out the rooms at an hourly rate. And some of you are already thinking of different interesting activities. There's another company which is very, very quickly.
Actually.
Okay, well, Joe definitely wants.
Maybe you were.
There's a company that you can quickly create floor plans very, very fast with your finger on your phone, and then drop in different pieces of furniture and then move your phone around the room to see it. Whilst I was in the UK, there's a massive issue with affordability. So they're coming up with debt financing schemes where you could buy properties with 5 of your friends or 6 of your friends. That was another emerging one. There's another guy that's doing a company where it's you are basically renting the property with the intention to buy the property. So the vendor leases the property out to you and kind of vendor finances a lease. And it's to help people get onto the property ladder and eventually show their credibility. But whilst they're paying their rent, they're saving a deposit. That's
so how is that a technology? So how are they incorporated a technology into that? That's like you said, it's sort of a traditional vendor finance model.
Yeah.
But have they put technology into that in some way?
you
I'm
know,
asking you hard questions, aren't I?
yeah, like it's hard.
Too
That's why I
late.
say, you know, the question you asked me only about what's property technology, what's real tech. It's a broad stick that people are applying to different types of businesses that may not necessarily be technology. It could just be a
Yeah.
new spin on the way that you're managing finances, or an algorithm
Mm.
that you're using to try and,
Yeah, right.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
so I wouldn't
So
say it's genuine prop tech.
essentially, it's so wide because it's even, Alexa, the home assistant thing, that's considered prop tech, which is something I've read.
Yeah.
Alexa, Google Alexa, that's
No,
considered prop
that's
tech,
like
or
listen
you're
to us. Yeah.
talking. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
so
have
anything
one,
that's
but
in and around the house. That's you know, lighting technology. There was a guy at a convention I saw that has a new type of toilet flusher, and that was PropTech. And I was like, okay, sure.
what, okay, so what does it do?
I didn't really pay attention. I wasn't that interested.
It's interesting. I would find it interesting. I'm like, what sort of technology can you add to a toilet?
Toilet.
But in saying that, and I tend to digress because and Tony tends to pull me out for it. Toilets are a big thing because Bill and Melinda Gates, if you do know a little bit about their foundation, they basically spend billions on trying to improve the sanitation across the world, and they have toilet conventions. So that's probably
There
where
you
the
go.
toilet tech comes from.
Yeah. Well, Joe brings up a good point. You know, and you are right. Like Alexa and these smart home technologies are definitely a prop tech initiative. Like the guys at Third Eye, all the major developers, your Mervax, Pace, a lot of these smart home helps automate the whole house. And the reason why I bring it up now is because you can use it to heat your house, to cool your house, to optimize your energy efficiency, to put your Sonos speakers all over the home. Maybe you can talk to your toilet one day, Chaz.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always too scared that my Alexa or technology will blow up on me. Because I might say something. First of all, Siri can't understand me half the time, let alone normal, the everyday person. So I find even making calls with Siri extremely frustrating because I ring everyone else on Siri except the person that I'm trying to call.
I find it
So
frustrating through the day that
technology.
my Google says, I didn't understand that. And I'm like, mate, I wasn't talking to you. What else are you listening to?
Yeah, exactly. Joe, I'm interested to find out what the reason why you're putting Alexa and automation into the units. Is that becoming a standard sort of inclusion in high end? Is it something that high end purchasers are expecting in their purchases? And Dom, you could you could answer that too because you've sold a lot of high end product as well. Or is that more so to
Um,
be able to wow buyers? Are they actually using it?
I think it's more of a, it's not like, I don't think it's necessary.
Mm,
I think that depending again on the demographic that you're going after, they might be more inclined to want that, or at least
mm.
start to expect that level of future proofing your home. I think is kind of more important.
Yeah,
I think that it's a really good marketing initiative to be able to put Alexa in and to have automation in your house. Do people use it? Um, Anecdotally, yes. I don't know what the percentages actually are. So Jay says
uh,
here, yeah, we need a point of difference in the market, and also downsizer purchasers want tech.
do
That's
they?
really interesting.
Because my parents half the time they don't know where buttons are. So you've got really techie downsizers.
Yeah, depends on where they're coming from. Well, I bought a
That's
smart home
really,
technology for my father so he could prove his partner wrong whenever they have an argument. Hey Google, is this actually true or not?
so it's technology is there to diffuse, relationship
Household arguments.
fallouts. Yeah, yeah, I like that. No, that's really cool, Joe. Be keen to have a look at what you're developing there. Easy tech. You don't need buttons when you talk. Yeah, you see, and I totally understand. And I can see that the generation, my children, are going to be living in the age of just talking to technology because that's all they do now. They'll talk to my computer, they'll talk to my phone. They can get, SpongeBob SquarePants just by talking to my phone, which is rather annoying because they don't have to type anything. They don't have to know how to spell. Um, but it's obviously something, I feel like the old fuddy-duddy now where we're saying I still need to type it in so I know that it knows exactly what I want. But yeah, you talk about future proofing. It's something that the generations after us are going to be expecting.
I think you're absolutely right. And having smart home in different parts of the house, like in your kitchen, you'll be able to start ordering things from your phone. So if your Amazon's connected to it or your Woolworths is connected to your Alexa or your Google Home, you'll be able to open up your fridge or have your Samsung fridge connected to it also.
Yeah,
When you're running out
yeah,
of groceries, it can
yeah,
automatically do it for you or get your milk or, hey, Alexa, can you get me some more peaches or whatever? Or maybe inside
yeah.
your bathroom, so whilst you're showering and doing your thing and you're having that moment of clarity that we all sort of start epiphanizing. Hey, Google, can you
In the
remind me
bathroom.
to do that meeting at 12 o'clock today? Or, in key parts around the house where you can start leveraging the smart technology to kind of, you know, move a lot faster and extend our reach.
Yeah, and there's always been, Facebook, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg. And they sort of grilled him about whether Facebook was collecting all this information from people, even from their smartphones. And I don't know if you've noticed that. I've definitely noticed if I'm talking to someone, I haven't had my phone on or anything else, it will come up on my Facebook feed. And that you're smiling like you agree, or you're smiling like I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
what you're
Maybe that's
talking
just
about.
no. Maybe that's just like your reticular activating system. So we all have that part now, pattern recognition
No,
part of our brain.
yeah, yeah, you're saying that, but definitely, I remember talking about something. I didn't say it to anyone. I was speaking with a friend, and suddenly Facebook ads were popping up. So if anyone else agrees with me, definitely say yes. And this is where we're trying to diffuse an argument. Are we debating whether Facebook is listening or not? But the funny thing, I know my phone was definitely listening because a friend of mine, when we were in the car, um, and she was talking about her family, and Siri spoke up and said something about, I don't know your family, or something like that. So, I'm absolutely blown away, and to a certain extent, a little bit sort of weary as well of the technology that becomes sort of listening to us. Like you said, if you're talking in the shower or whichever, Alexa or Google Assistant pops up, which is fabulous. Um, uh, Yet I guess because we're of the generation that it's such a new technology that we're not used to and we don't know how powerful it could possibly be. Um, I'm probably of the mind that I'm a bit like, I'm just gonna wait and see where it sort of takes us. Um, but from a property sense, if it can help us from an investment and development, if it's helping us sort of sell things a lot easier, quicker, and making it a better experience, I'm absolutely all for that. So from your perspective,
I
Dom,
really
where
like
do
it.
you
I think
see?
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I really like it just because I think that all these smart technology kind of engineer serendipitous occasion. So if you're talking about something and then suddenly it appears on your phone, that's kind of good, isn't it? If you're asking for
Mm,
a product and then it materializes, that's getting you closer to what you want.
true,
Where we want
true.
to take our technology is to train it to monitor behavior over time. And I think this is really, really powerful.
Mm,
We're working with
mm,
a company called, we worked with a company called Livingston's, and they're behavioral psychologists. Then there was five major studies on people's behavior when they're purchasing property. And they identified that one of the common through lines or the true north in all these studies is that people purchase property or significant transaction when there's life events. So when you get married, when there's a death or a divorce, so there's a change in relationship, when you get have a baby, or when you get a promotion. So these different life-changing events is when they're seeing people make big, significant transactions, like purchasing property. Now, where we're
mm.
training our technology is because currently we can see when you've been married or when you've had a promotion, is to start noticing and spotting when these events happen and allow the technology to reach out and communicate to then make suggestions or to be there in that moment when they're thinking about
Sure.
property. So, for instance, we noticed that Joe has recently settled 60 odd apartments, probably a bad example, or when someone's recently got a promotion, they can see this person's got some more money. Let's make a recommendation in an area that we've noticing they're starting to open their emails. So we can see that
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
opening all the emails in the North Shore. They've recently got a promotion. Hey, here's a new development in the area. Would you like to consider it? So
Mm,
it's kind of, we're trying to steer property in the same direction that these smart home technology or these listening systems are. How can we
yes.
identify behavior that purchasers are displaying that makes them likely to purchase and then land in front of them in that moment that they're thinking about it?
Yeah, yeah, and I can see it from that angle. It's actually beneficial because you as the purchaser, you as the consumer, is spending less time and energy searching for things. Because how many hours do we spend searching? I mean, realestate.com, to be honest. I mean, how many investors and developers have spent 5 million hours just searching for things? And that's why you've got, and I'll say technology like Archistar. So I think have you done an interview with Archistar? Or have you used them
No,
before?
so
Um,
I think they got an event week or something.
yeah, actually, they've got a special event on Thursday, launching their sort of Archistar, phase two, and they're using a lot of big data and technology to be able to model um, development sites or what you could put on a particular development. So you could say, I'm looking for these are my filters, and it's really reducing the amount of time that developers are spending on searching and identifying and prospecting for sites. And that's the sort of stuff that is incredible for developers and investors to really. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, as you know, it's searching for the right site in development. It's finding the right sort of as properties to prospect for. So, um, uh, I said if we can use data in a way that sifts through all the crap and just allows us to pick up the gold, I think that's fantastic. I've always been really, I really admire the stuff that, say, for example, that you're doing, finding out where the pain points are in a customer's experience, and really targeting a product to be able to address and find a solution to that pain point. Um, so where do you see, say for Cribz, what sort of where are you heading to now, and what's next in the Cribz story?
We're stepping forward in the transaction. We were working a number of developers and agents, enriching the data and using the technology and handing over quality leads.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I see what we have as a competitive advantage. And now we're enriching the data, creating the campaigns, the nurturing experiences,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I'm using my sales team to then come forward and make the sales themselves. So
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
I see an opportunity for us to do the whole thing. Know who the client is, create the content for the people that we're talking to, nurturing the client over time, and then picking up the sale. Because ultimately, we live and die by the result. So if we are going to live and die by the result, I'd rather step forward and actually make sure it happens. Um,
Mm.
and the beauty of what we're creating is we don't need as many people inside the organization for us to move a lot faster than everybody else. Our tech enables us to find who the qualified purchasers are so we can talk to the right person at the right time with the right message. I think I just stole that
Yeah.
from Compass.
Doesn't matter. No one else knows.
Yeah.
So you're almost doing a full service offering there from a marketing perspective, aren't you? G'day, Mark. How you doing?
Say that again?
Excellent. Oh no, I've said hello to Mark Fattore, and definitely Mark's doing a lot of project marketing. So Mark, you guys should both get in contact with each other. So what you were saying there is that you as Cribz are actually offering a full service to developers where you're identifying who their target market is and pretty much running through that whole. Are you running through that whole marketing campaign as well?
No, we're not going to do the whole campaign, but we'll jump in and make sure that we can identify the sales, do bits and pieces, and then get the sale. We haven't got our own internal design team yet. That's an aspiration. We're doing the media. We have all the right networks. You know, we're working with people like Lee Valentine from Enigma, and a couple other bigger content creation agencies. So we can create the whole end-to-end suite, but it really is about the data informing the developer who the target purchaser is, creating the right content, shipping it, pulling the buyers out of the database, and just getting the most efficiency out of the money that they're spending.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, I'm just going to go out and reach out to the floor to see anyone. Hi, Friday afternoon, see you at Ryan's Bar, Dom and Cheryl. What's happening at Ryan's Bar? Goodness, I'm too old for Ryan's Bar. I have children. I have responsibilities. Not. Did you say Friday afternoon? I'll be there. And I believe that Mark, you're having an open at one of your sites in Bella Vista as well. So good luck with that. And I'm sure it all goes well. It's a fantastic site near the train station. Anyone has any questions for Dom or myself, or just wants to make some comments about what they think about PropTech, if they've seen anything in the space that, wow, rocking your new hairstyle, Cheryl. Yes, this is what this whole conversation is about, my new but artificial intelligence did this. Thanks, Davina. I hope you're enjoying your trip overseas. Looks like Seoul's a really interesting sort of place to be in. So if you've got any questions around that, would love to understand what's happening out there in the space. I know that there are people that are coming up with technology around sharing not rooms, sharing houses, so rooms, individual rooms, how to connect people. I know there's technology there from a fundraising perspective. So I don't know if you can call that PropTech, but in terms of raising equity from different investors, so sort of almost like a blockchain type model. Have you had much to do with blockchain at all, Dom?
No, just sticking clear from blockchain for the time being.
For what you understand, I'm with you there. I think Corn might have invested $100, and I'm not really sure where that's gone now into blockchain heaven. So you know, it's an area I definitely PropTech, whatever you want to call it, technology in general. Keeping an eye out as to how you can use it in your developments, how you can use it to improve how you're operating as a developer. And definitely, if you have stock that you're looking to move along, and you're looking at sort of how to refine your marketing, Dom is someone to reach out to. He's done how many millions of sales would you have done? Quite a lot. So you've been there from the traditional sort of sales and marketing to using technology now to improve that whole buying, selling experience. So I think we've only got a few more minutes. So if you had anything else to add, Dom, if you had any questions for any of our viewers, please feel free to ask. In the meantime, anyone else?
As a service to everyone listening, one, thanks for listening to us ramble on. But if any of you are sitting out there and you're sitting on an old database full of leads that you've just collected over time, and you're wondering, one, you know that the sales in there, and you're wondering, how do I get more out of this database? Just reach out, send me a message. We'll hook up, have a chat, and then I'll show you what our technology can do, and just show you where the missing sales are. And if we can't do that for you, then one, I'll be surprised, but two, we'll at least point you in the right direction. We'll do a sample, we'll enrich your data and show you what leads are sitting inside your database and who the most qualified purchasers are. So at least your agents or your sales team or your marketing team will have a better understanding on how to direct your site, or at least point your team in the right direction so they can go and make a few more sales.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget that the actual power of having a lead generation strategy as well, because you need to have leads to be able to, I think the word you say is enrich them, to be able to find out more information about them. First, we need to be able to have a database and leads to work off. So is that right? Because I mean, obviously you can't sort of understand your client sort of market without those leads and database, correct?
Correct. You can't come with nothing. You're gonna bring your own BYO database.
Alrighty, excellent. Okay, now I would like to thank you. I think there's a lot of sort of stuff that we could go through, different directions in this space. I think it's more giving people an idea of what's out there. Definitely, if they're looking for different ways to market differently, market more effectively, there's technology there that's doing that. Obviously, that's what Cribz is doing. That's what you're doing. So, I think I want to wish you luck, and we're going to have to catch up soon as well to talk about property in general and development and how it is that we can do stuff together as well. So, all good. Thanks very much, Dom. It's been probably a long day for you.
Appreciate it, and thanks for giving me this opportunity.
all good. I hope it was a good experience. Your first Facebook Live. Thanks, Dom. I'll chat to you later, and good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Ciao.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye. Bye.